contact lenses. الكونتاكت لينسز موضوع كتير ناس تسأل عنه. مهم. الكونتاكت لينسز بيجوا عادة على نوعين حسب إذا كان الفترة اللي أنا بستخدمها خلالها، يعني ممكن يكونوا ديلي، ويكلي، مانثلي، أو بيرمننت، أو نوع الديس اوردر اللي بيعالجوه، يعني بيعالج مثلا قصر النظر، طول النظر، أو وات ايفر نوع يعني من الديس اوردرز تبعت العين. رح نشرح أول طريقة وضع الكونتاكت لينسز والعناية فيهم من خلال الفيديو التالي.
The first thing is you need to wash your hands. Lots of microorganisms, bacteria can live on your hands. Same thing with lots of grease and germs. Just make sure you wash all those off. Then you need to dry your hands thoroughly, best using some type of a cloth or a towel that is lint-free. Otherwise, little fibers of lint will get stuck on your finger, and that gets on the lens, and then that can get into your eye, and then the lens won't be comfortable. Now that the hands are clean and dry from any lint, you want to verify your contact lens prescriptions. It is best to always start with the same eye every time you put in your contact lenses. Because I am right hand dominant, I'm actually going to put in my right eye first. Now some contact lenses do come in little glass vials, but most of the time you'll see them in a little blister pack like this one here. Basically you just open the blister pack or the bottle and the lens should be inside. To remove the contact lens, use the padding of your pointer finger to pick up the lens, being careful not to hit it with your fingernail, as that could actually damage the lenses. And if you have long fingernails, consider clipping them, because that'll reduce your chance of hurting your eyes. Again, it's best to put the contact lens on the pointer finger of your dominant hand because that's going to give you more control. Now you actually want to inspect the lens for any sort of defects. That means if you see any sort of chipping, any sort of like wrinkled edges, or if it's already ripped or torn, then you're not going to want to put that in your eye. You're going to want to discard that lens and open a new one. Now you really want to pay attention to this part because this part is really important for having good comfort in your lenses. Soft lenses like this one actually have a correct way that they sit on the eye, but they can also be inside out, and you don't want to be putting a lens that's inside out on the eye because it'll slide around and it won't be comfortable and it'll give you kind of variable fluctuating vision. To check if the soft lens is the correct way or if it's inside out, you actually want to look at it from the side. If the lens is sitting the correct way, it should look like a perfect bowl like in this image here. Otherwise, if it is inside out, it'll look more like this image with the edges kind of flanging outward. If you're having trouble seeing that, then another cool way to do it is called the taco test. And that means if the lens is actually sitting the correct way and you pinch it from the sides, it'll actually fold in on itself looking like a taco. If the lens is inside out, when you pinch on it, it'll actually again fall outward and it won't actually sit correctly. It'll basically fight against itself. Hey, are you getting value out of this? If so, smash that like button for me. Now, if you're like me, you can put your contacts in staring into a mirror upright, or you can look down onto a mirror on the counter as well. Now, this part here is the real secret to getting your contact lenses easily, and that is controlling your eyelids. For most people, the actual difficulty of getting contact lenses in is because they're very sensitive about anything coming toward their eyes. And so by controlling your eyelids and keeping them open, the lid won't come down, hit the lens, it won't fall out. Now, the secret to controlling the eyelids is actually to use both hands. I use my non-dominant hand of the middle finger to hold the eyelid at the very top edge of that upper eyelid, and I actually hold it to the orbital bone. That way the upper eyelid doesn't really move anywhere. Then I use my dominant hand, middle finger, with the lens on the pointer finger, and I hold the lower eyelid with that middle finger, and then I can just put the lens directly onto the cornea. Bringing that contact lens to the eye can be a little scary sometimes, but the lens actually acts as a shield, so it actually protects your eye from feeling anything. So yeah, touching the eye with the finger with the contact lens in place shouldn't really feel anything. Again, don't feel discouraged if it touches the lashes and it falls out. Just clean up the lens a little bit with some solution and try again. Now there is the optional step of using one single drop of solution into the lens just to give it a little bit extra cushion. Some people find that a little bit more comfortable. One more time I'm going to show you how that works. Again, I hold the top eyelid right in the middle. I'm going to hold the bottom eyelid right in the middle, and then I'm just going to put the lens straight onto the eye and blink a few times. There we go. Now, right away when you put the contact lenses in, don't expect your vision to be perfect right off the bat. A lot of times the lenses do have to settle on the eye for the first couple of minutes before your vision really starts to dial in. Especially if you're somebody who has an astigmatism or a toric contact lens, that sort of lens actually has a weight built into it, so if the lens isn't sitting just right, give it some time. The weight in the lens will eventually orient that lens in the correct place, and your vision should gradually improve. Make sure there's no nasty bugs on there that could actually get into your eye. Now, the most common and simplest way to clean your contact lenses is actually with some type of disinfecting solution. Now, this happens to be the Opti-Free Pure Moist brand. It's the one that I find very comfortable, but there are many different brands that are over the counter. But I do recommend you use the one that your doctor recommended for you and your type of contact lenses. Now, depending on the solution you are using, the instructions on the back of the bottle may actually vary, but I encourage you to actually read them. The first step, now depending on the solution you are using, the instructions on the back of the bottle may actually vary, but I encourage you to actually read them. The first step, believe it or not, most people never follow the first step, and it's actually one of the most significant and most beneficial steps to cleaning your contacts, and that is to rub the lenses. So the instruction says to remove the contact lens, put it in the palm of your hand, go ahead and use a little bit of the Opti-Free solution, and then actually rub the lens for 20 seconds. Now the real secret is, yes, rub the lens, but don't rub the lens too hard. When you rub the lens, you will break up certain proteins that have kind of latched on to the sides of those lenses. By breaking up those proteins, they'll generally be more comfortable. You also kill some nasty types of bacteria by doing that little rubbing motion, but I do encourage you to be gentle with it, because if you rub too hard, you can actually tear or rip the lenses. And because you're breaking off all those extra proteins and debris that have stuck on the lens, generally the lenses will be more comfortable over the course of their wear, whether they're a 2-week or a 1-month lens. After rubbing the lenses for at least 20 seconds, the Opti-Free Pure Moist solution does require you to rinse each side of the lens with a steady stream of solution for at least 10 seconds. Again, that rinses off all that extra debris or bacteria that could be resting on the lens. Then it's just a matter of putting your contact lens into the case and then filling the case with the Opti-Free Pure Moist solution, making sure that the lens is completely submerged actually in the cleaning solution. Otherwise, if it's just resting on the top, then the inner surface of the lens may not actually be getting any disinfecting on it. Now again, every solution's a little different. Opti-Free Pure Moist does say to soak the lens for at least 6 hours. So most people do take out their contact lenses before going to bed, so that gives you usually plenty of time to get those 6 hours in. Now, if you're cleaning your lenses this way, it's really important that you do not reuse the contact lens solution. You want to make sure that you dump that out in the next morning, and then make sure you refill this the following night. If you reuse the disinfecting solution, it's no longer going to be working as well, and you're just going to greatly increase your chance of an infection. Now, when you put your contact lenses in and you empty out the solution from the case, make sure you leave the case actually facing upward to air dry. That will actually allow the solution to dry out and kill any other bacteria that happen to be living in the case. Now, it is actually best practices to clean this case as well. Sometimes you'll actually see nasty little debris and other sort of protein buildup within the lens case. And yeah, that can actually get onto your eye and not good. So alongside drying out the contact lens case every night, I actually strongly recommend that you actually clean these contact lens cases every week. Basically, you just put a little bit of disinfecting solution into the lens well, swirl your finger around in there a little bit, agitate any sort of proteins that may have been built up, and then go ahead and rinse it out with additional some solution, and then again, dry it out by leaving it to air dry. In general, it's actually recommended that you replace these cases at least every 3 months. But for the most part, if you're buying some type of contact lens solution, free cases come alongside that solution, and generally you're buying one of these bottles every month or so. Of course, optical or eye care clinic, they'll usually have a couple extra spares for you. Now I'm going to show you how to clean your contact lenses with a hydrogen peroxide solution. Specifically, this one is with ClearCare Plus. Now, there's many different brands of hydrogen peroxide cleaning solutions out there, but this just happens to be my favorite. Now, hydrogen peroxide solutions have the benefit of being non-preservative, and they actually do clean the lenses extremely effectively, and they remove some of the debris from the lenses. I have a lot of patients who swear that this lens solution actually helps them wear their lenses longer. But on the flip side, I also have patients who don't like the hydrogen peroxide solution because they feel it makes their lenses drier. But have you ever tried hydrogen peroxide solution? If so, let me know in the comments what you think of other solutions. It's really important that you read the instructions on the back, specifically the section that's highlighted in red. Hydrogen peroxide can actually burn the eye if it's not used properly. And you'll notice that this solution has to sit in a specialized case. This case actually has a special disc built into the case itself, and that actually interacts with the hydrogen peroxide and then turns that into complete sterile water. But it does require at least 6 hours. Now I want to show you this because a lot of people, if you've never seen this type of case, you're probably looking at it and you're like, what is this thing? But it's actually a pretty smart design. You actually just go ahead and flip down both sides. The one side is going to be kind of color-coded, and you can actually see a little R written on there. You remove your right lens, put that on the side with the little R written on it. Take your left lens, put that on the left side. Then you go ahead and you close
طبعا هاي لما
the
بدنا
case.
نستخدم
Once you close the case, you actually go ahead and
H2O
rinse the
هيدروجين
lenses with a
بروكسيد.
gentle stream of 5 seconds with the hydrogen peroxide solution on each side. Again, that's just going to rinse off any sort of extra debris